Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 302. As we are officially, for this podcast purposes, in basketball season. There will be some football on the show we will get to later. Luka LeBron, game 2, not quite as good as game 1. In fact, a really bad game, and where you saw some of the concerns for the Lakers as far as big men. We will get to that. A huge game on the other side of that trade with the Mavs on the strength of Kyrie Irving dropping 42, get a really important win over Golden State. We will get to that. Oh, and also a much-needed Bronny update. I'll explain why I'm doing that in a bit. But first, Damonza, welcome in. Great to see you as always. This is the time of year I miss when the 15 months that I lived on the West Coast, because the late night West Coast basketball that isn't actually late night if you're on the West Coast is such a nice thing that these games are over. I know the Warriors game actually was late even for you guys last night, but most games are over before 10:30. And then you can either, go out, you do whatever you want. Set out here, you're struggling till 1:30 in the morning. But such is life. Springtime or end of winter, springtime, headed to the NBA playoffs, living on the East Coast. Here is what missed the cut for the show. Dak and Dallas Dak says Dallas is very close to the Eagles. They are not. The Knicks beat the Hawks in the highest scoring game of the year, 149-148. And not going to be, for new podcast viewers, listeners, subscribers, and remember, like, rate, subscribe, review, all of that. We do a tennis corner on this show. We sometimes do a golf corner on this show. These are the sports that I love that Damonza's not into at all. We do not do a hockey corner because those are the sports that neither of us know anything about. Oh, speaking of Damonza, remind me, and maybe one of our great producers, throw in at the bottom of the doc, we might have to discuss that tweet that I sent yesterday and see what about the basketball tournament. The media basketball tournament that Cuffs the Legend is trying to put on, where I have, without asking, potentially volunteered Damonza to play in my place.
I love that.
So we will get into all of that. But before we even get to the games from yesterday, a game from the day before yesterday had a wildly important NBA moment that led to some wildly ridiculous NBA discussion. So let's get right to it, pal.
So KD just joined the 30,000 point club the other day.
Yeah.
And Stephen A. Smith put him in his top 10 all time. It's a perfect topic.
All time.
Yep, all time. We're bringing some of that evergreen back. How do you feel about this? Where would you put?
All right. So first, let me talk about what 30,000 points means. It means you are in a club with Kareem, Karl Malone, Kobe, Michael, Dirk, and Wilt. And you might be like, Nick, you didn't include LeBron in that. Well, LeBron's not in that club anymore. He graduated. He's in the 40,000 point club. But how hard is it to score 30,000 points? Michael Jordan did it as a wizard. Let me say that again. Think about all of the points Michael Jordan scored as a Chicago Bull. It wasn't 30,000. So that's what Kevin Durant has done, and he's done it. He's the fourth youngest to ever do it, despite losing 2 full seasons of his career due to injury. The broken foot year and the torn Achilles year. Truly one of the greatest pure scorers in basketball history. The greatest, not the first great shooting 7-footer, that was Dirk, but the best shooting big man of all time. And it's not even really debatable. Like when I was growing up, a 7-footer who could shoot meant he could hit 12 to 14 footers. Ewing was pretty good at it. David Robinson was okay at it. Akeem was the best at it as far as the great big men. But those were all true centers. Then Dirk came around. Kevin Garnett then was really great at the mid-range for a guy who wouldn't let you call him 7 feet tall, but was 7 feet tall. Dirk then changed the game And you look back on Dirk's career, what'll surprise you is he didn't shoot as many threes as you remember. Dirk, for his career, averaged 3.5 3-point attempts per game. Not makes, attempts. Dirk, in his prime, from basically year 3 until, call it, the year after the championship, averaged 3.2 3-point attempts per game. So he was not a volume 3-point shooter, but he was the first 7-footer that would reliably shoot some and was excellent at it. Then Durant came around and instantly changed everything. Where this guy is a true 7-footer, and he was, at various points in his career, either the single best or the second best or clearly top 3 shooter in basketball. And so he deserves massive credit, and Brew called him a pioneer, and I think that's fair. Usually we use pioneer in kind of terms of more gravity, but this, as far as shooting big men, he is that. Now, all of that can be true, and it can simultaneously be true, Damonza, that calling him a top 10 all-time guy is not an allowable opinion. And it's not allowable. And here's why I say it's not allowable. I don't actually think anyone who calls Kevin Durant a top 10 player, if they put pencil to paper and made their list, would have him in the top 10. And again, so that is what we're going to do, and you can do it with me, okay? And I understand you're 26, you don't have the full historical knowledge of me, of a lot of...
Give me 10 names and I can see if those are... Yeah, it's like...
Yes, exactly right. So, I'm going to start with the ones that I think there will be no argument whatsoever, okay? It must be in the top 10. LeBron James... Agreed? Agreed.
Yep.
Michael Jordan. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yep. Okay? Those, not only in my opinion, have to be in your top 10, they have to be in your top 3, but that is an opinion. Okay? But there's 3 locks. Dead locks. All right, before we even get to the guys whose games were in black and white, let's name some more. Magic Johnson. We agree? Yep. He's in the top 10? Of course.
Yep.
Tim Duncan. 5 rings, 6 finals appearances, 2 league MVPs, arguably the greatest defensive player of the last 30 years. Tim Duncan. So now we're at 5. We have 5 spots remaining in the top 10. I have not yet mentioned Kobe Bryant. Does anybody think Kevin Durant's better than Kobe Bryant? I don't think Kevin Durant thinks Kevin Durant is better than Kobe Bryant. Now Durant might think he's the second best ever, and that Kobe's the only one ahead of him. But I don't so. So now we're at 6. We got 4 spots left. Larry Bird. Now when this clip goes out, there are going to be a bunch of children, and I say that intentionally, who are like, man, KD would wash Larry Bird. You're like, what could Larry Bird do that Kevin Durant can't do? And Damonza might be one of those children. However,
100%.
When we are doing top 10 lists, it cannot be such a bias to the current times that accomplishments are totally irrelevant. So when you go to Larry Bird, and then I tell you the following things, Damonza, from his rookie year, starting with his rookie year, Damonza, through the end of year 9. So we're not skipping his rookie year. The day he walks into the league until the end of year 9, he finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th in MVP voting. How many of those 9 years? Throw me a number.
8. Call it.
9.
It's all 9
year.
of them?
Every single year. Including a stretch where he went, a 6-year stretch, Larry Bird, where he went second, first. A 6-year stretch where in MVP voting, he was second, first. He's a 3-time champion, 2-time finals MVP, made 5 finals. And he was 9-time first team All NBA in the first 10 years of his career. So,
The
I say all that to say,
is just unfortunate.
What'd you say?
It's just unfortunate. You would say Larry Bird and Katie are similar archetypes, right?
Here's the thing. Yes, and both great shooters, but where you give the nod to Bird is actually one of the best passers in league history. Katie, a better, similar
like ball handler, like he can win point better than Larry Bird.
No, Katie's a better ball handler.
Right.
Bird was a better rebounder. Katie's a better defender, but Bird just did more. But again, so you might be like, well, Nick, so maybe it is arguable because you're arguing about Bird and you're only at 7. And here's why I can definitively say you can't have him in the top 10. Because are we simply going to say that none of the old heads get in? None of them. So Bill Russell and his 11 rings are out, and his 5 league MVPs. Or we're just throwing him out. Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, and Oscar Robertson. We want to throw all 4 of those guys out, because if those guys are in, then Bird might not be in. But you know what? Let's just pretend we're throwing those 4 guys out. They don't count. We still only have 3 spots left. And we have not mentioned Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal was better than Kevin Durant. We have not mentioned Steph Curry. Steph Curry has had a better career by any available metric than Kevin Durant. We now have 1 spot in our top 10 remaining. So again, LeBron, Kareem, Michael, Magic, Duncan, Kobe, Bird, Shaq, Steph, there's 9. We have simply said, totally unfairly and ridiculously, that for this exercise, anyone that played prior to 1970 isn't a top 10 player. That Wilt Chamberlain is not a top 10 player, that Bill Russell is not a top 10 player, that Jerry West and Oscar Robertson. But let's just do it. Let's just say, you know what? They're out. We now have 1 spot remaining. And I'm going to give you 3 names who are better than Kevin Durant. The first one is Hakeem Olajuwon, the greatest defensive player, arguably in league history, certainly other than Bill Russell. And then 2 guys playing right now, Nikola Jokic and Giannis. So are people really going to say KD's been better than Joker? I don't think you can credibly argue that. Are people like, you can argue Giannis. Giannis is very, very borderline. And then you get to the group Durant is in. Dr. J, who again, I will get, just to show I'm being fair here, I will give Durant the nod over Dr. J, even though this was Dr. J's career. He's in the ABA. In the ABA. He wins the league MVP 3 times. He wins the championship 2 times. He wins the playoff MVP 2 times. He then goes to the NBA and immediately makes finals after finals after finals before finally playing on arguably the greatest team of all time and winning a championship. Give him the nod over him. Give KD the nod over Moses Malone, and give KD the nod over Isaiah Thomas. You still have. And this is why, if you're going to, I care more about top 10 lists than basically anyone in the world. but you can't flippantly throw it around. LeBron, Kareem, Michael, Magic, Duncan, Kobe, Bird, Shaq, Steph. We are at 9. Right then and there is one spot available for all of the following people: Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, Akeem Olajuwon, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So in order to say Kevin Durant's in the top 10, you have to say he is better than Joker. He is better than Giannis. He is better than Akeem. He is better than Russell, Wilt, West, Oscar. You don't actually think that. And the you I'm talking to is literally everyone. You might think he's better than a couple of those guys. There is no chance you think he's better than all of them. And so, maybe
so
this
where
was
are you putting him at, like 18th or something?
If I were to truly order it, this will be fun. Let's do it. This is my true to heart order. LeBron 1. Kareem 2. Michael 3. The hardest one is this 4-5. Russell 4, Magic 5. Wilt 6. Duncan 7. Kobe 8. Bird 9. God dog it. And then this is where my top 10 debate is. And I did that top 50 list, but the problem, my top 50 list was of the last 50 years. So I didn't have to worry about Russell, Wilt, West, those guys. So now for the 10 spot, Dream, Shaq, Steph, West are the contenders. I will tentatively go as follows. Number 10, Akeem Olajuwon. Number 11, Shaquille O'Neal. Number 12, Steph Curry. Number 13, Jerry West. Number 14, Oscar Robertson. Number 15, Nikola Jokic. Number 16, Oscar Robertson. Number 17, Giannis. Number 18, Dr. J. And number 19, Kevin Durant. With number 20 being Moses, 21 being Isaiah, and then the rest of your top 25 in some order or another are Dirk, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, and Dwayne Wade. And we could argue about it. But I think that is a fair ranking that anybody could push back on movement of a guy 3 spots in one direction or another. You can't credibly say the dude's a top 10 player.
As a player, as a scorer, he's...
Well, his skill set?
Yeah, like his ability to just go and get a bucket,
Well, and not just get a bucket. His skill set as a basketball player is top 10. But that's a different conversation. You know what? Does that make... You know what?
No, I understand it.
It has to be what you accomplished in your career has to be the huge weight of the argument, with skill set and stuff being important and tiebreakers and all of that.
What do you do with it?
The resume is the resume. And the fact that Durant has gone his entire 30s, his whole 30s, and did not play a single meaningful playoff game is remarkable to me. And so, and that obviously has to play a role in this. And so I just think that, throwing around top 10 all time is silly.
It's disrespectful? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and again, I think that it is something that people, and I'm not even really trying to take shots. I just think people aren't doing the work. I just think, like, I shouldn't say doing the work, because it's not even out of laziness. I just think people aren't putting pen to paper and being like, okay, who is my top 10? And I think if they did, they would be like, oh, damn. Turns out he's not. And so that, like, if somebody wants to sit up here and say Kevin Durant was better than Dream, Shaq, and Steph, and all the old guys, that would be crazy to me. At least to me. That would be crazy. Go ahead, pal.
So of the old guards remaining, who could you see adding another badge to their legacy? I mean, and these are their ages starting next season. LeBron's at 40. You got KD at 36. Steph at 37. Chris Paul is going to be 40. You got Harden at 36, and Russ is going to be turning 36 next season as well.
The answer is none of them. Like, LeBron's got the best chance because he's with Luka. But Durant, Durant's... We'll talk about what's next for Durant briefly. Like, maybe this offseason they wouldn't do it, but man, it'd be so much fun. What if OKC just gets popped early in the playoffs? And they're like, bring him home. Like, that would be sick. That would be sick. 100%. And I would love that. My only thing is they're probably not going to get popped early in the playoffs. They're probably going to make the finals.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And then they're not going to all of a sudden bring in Durant. But
do you think Durant would like a pay cut? Like take a little bit less money to...
There's no pay cuts allowed in the NBA.
Okay.
It's weird. It's like if you're a free agent, you can sign for anything you want.
Whatever amount.
He's under contract. So you have to trade.
They just got to buy it out. Copy. Okay.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and so here's the thing. Phoenix isn't going to buy him out because then they get no draft picks for him. You know what I mean? So, like, he could be a free agent 15 months from now, but a year from now, someone would have to take on the salary. All right, let's talk Lakers here for a second.
So Luka and the Lakers struggled against the Jazz. They obviously beat them the other day, and they got popped in the mouth last night. So Luka has 16, 4 and 4. He went 6 of 13, 1 of 5 from free throw, and 5 turnovers in 23 minutes. So he came out and said we can go very far. Obviously, today I felt a little bit rusty. 2 games back from my injury, turnovers, missed free throws. So I got to do way better. How are you feeling about your guys over there in yellow?
So listen, that was a bad loss. There's no way around it. You have no business losing. Say it again.
You could see why. I mean, like
Tell me why.
The Jackson Hayes going down pretty early. The Jazz are obviously just way too big for him. Like, and they need to go grab a big man.
It was all of that. It was also, all-star game. All-star game being around the corner. Yes, that. And listen, Luka is getting back into, I know this sounds awful. He right now actually is out of shape because he is coming off 6 weeks out with a lower body injury, and that's what's going to happen. And so he's getting his rhythm. Look, they're trying to figure out how to play with each other. Alex Lynn, fresh off the buyout market, is, with the team. Jackson Hayes gets popped in the face. He obviously is, then he's out. And the Jazz just clock you. It's a bad loss in this regard. The Jazz are horrendous, and every single game here matters. Like, they won last night, they would wake up this morning and they're still the 4 seed with the same number of losses as Denver. Because they lost last night, they're the 5 seed, and they're 2.5 behind Denver. So it does matter, and but they had won. What did they won? 9 in a row. So you'd won 9 in a row. You're fitting Luka in. Last night's game does not make me worried about the Luka-LeBron fit. I don't think we've seen anything close to what that fit is going to be because we haven't seen Luka be Luka yet. Luka hasn't played 25 minutes in a game. Luka hasn't gotten rolling yet. Like that, so that'll take time. The question is, are they just going? When the trade was made, we all said they needed to add a big. They then thought they added a big in Mark Williams. They didn't. By the way, did you see that drama? That Dave McMenamin said to Rich Eisen yesterday that the Hornets are still trying to argue that trade should go through. And Rich Eisen asked him, like, what does that mean? Like, you bring in a third-party doctor? And Dave McMenamin said that the way he understands it is the NBA would hold, quote, something of a mock trial where both teams would present their cases and an arbitrator would rule. Now, that's okay. I've never heard of that. If that's the case, they got to air that All-Star Weekend. We got to see the Lakers Hornets mock trial where they're like, hey, here's what's the problem with Mark Williams' injuries. So, point is, and by the way, the Lakers must have massive concerns with that dude's injuries because they clearly need a center.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, and they're trying to get the Jazz. I mean, not the Jazz, but the Magic trying to get rid of him. I think doesn't make it any better. Like there is
Hornets.
something, or the Hornets. But if he goes back there and they use him, like if they're going to use him, why can't the Lakers just take him? You need a big man.
Well, he went from not being on the injury report to now this past game for the Hornets listed out with an injury. And I could be wrong. I don't think the Lakers are arguing he's too injured to play this very moment.
No, something's eventually going to happen is what they're saying.
Not only something's eventually going to happen, but he is playing through an injury that either needs surgery or needs to be addressed. Like, so something
Makes
like
sense.
that. So I am not. Last night was a bad loss. Last game for All-Star. You're on a hot streak. Luka's getting his legs under him. I won't freak out about it. But it is a loss that the end of the year, you might be like, damn, I wish we'd have taken care of business against the 12-win Jazz, if we're fighting for seeding. Damonza, there is a follow-up here that I want to get to. This will make people mad probably.
So Bronny, he played in garbage time. He got a couple nice buckets at the end of the game. He had a really nice step back. So give us our Bronny update.
The Bronny update is, are we still going to go crying on television, begging LeBron James to be a better father and stop this farce? Or are we going to be like, turns out Bronny is playing exactly like a generic 55th pick of the draft should play. So here's a fun one, Damonza. I looked it up this morning. Bronny James was the 55th pick of the draft. We're now more than halfway through the season. Where do you think Bronny James ranks amongst rookies in minutes? Let's just start with minutes. And again, this is, a little reductive analysis, but you would
how many
hope.
Rookies?
I mean, there's a ton of rookies because you have all the 58 who were drafted and then all the undrafted kids. But my point is, you would hope that the kid drafted number 1 is near number 1 in minutes and points. You know what I mean? And so he was the 55th drafted rookie. Amongst all rookies, if it was just a generic, guy who you drafted 55th, you would hope you're getting in the moment, I guess, the 55th most production of the rookies. Like that would mean he's playing to his generic draft spot. So, we're at the All-Star break. How's Bronny doing? He is, amongst rookies, exactly 55th in minutes. Oh, okay, well, maybe that's because the Lakers are just, because he's Bron's kid, giving him more opportunities. He's 55th in minutes. But where is he in points? Amazingly, it's crazy that this happened. He is exactly 55th in points. Oh, okay. So he's played the 55th pick of the draft, has played amongst all rookies the 55th most minutes and has the 55th most points. What about other things? Where is he in assists amongst all rookies? And the answer is he is 47th. Oh, right in line, but a little maybe better than you'd have hoped. Where is he amongst all rookies in steals? Right? That feels like a fair question. Oh, he's 44th, the 55th pick of the draft. Okay, where is he in blocks? The 55th pick of the draft, Bronny James, is 42nd. The only category, the 6'2 guard, is not 55th or better amongst rookies, is rebounds, where he's in, I'll pull it up because I gave the exact ones on the other ones. I want to give the exact ones on this one. Bronny James in rebounding is, I had it right here, 63rd. So so he's not playing to his draft. The 6'2 guard's not playing to his draft position in rebounding. And how has the young man done in the G League? Well, the G League's weird because they have this preseason tip-off thing that's a huge chunk of time, and then the regular season begins. So he has played 5 regular season G League games, 33 minutes per game, averaging 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists on 43, 39, 79 splits. Pretty good. So in other words, everyone calm down. The 55th pick of the draft, by any metric you can find, is playing exactly as you would hope the 55th pick of any draft would be playing. That's it. That's all. Is he going to be a star in this league? Almost assuredly not. Is he ever going to be a true rotational player? No way to tell. Was it some farce and some parental nepotism tragedy that we need to go on camera and be like, I beg you as a father to stop this? No. The 55th pick looks like in the G League and in the NBA like you would hope the 55th pick would look. Who's scoring big in the NBA this season? You are, with the all-new ways to get in on the actions at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From Monster Slams dishing the rock to cleaning the glass, get behind your favorite players and the prop bets you can make on DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like picking how many points your favorite player will have. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick tonight. So, fellas, by the way, I want to start keeping track of these. Let's start seeing how I do when I'm giving these DraftKings details. Tonight, I'm looking at the following. Walker Kessler, over 10.5 against the Clippers. With the theory being, yes, both teams are on a back-to-back, but the Clippers, James Harden is an all-star. The Clippers, I feel like, are, more likely to be looking forward to this time off. Walker Kessler coming off a nice game. I think he can get to at least 11 points. And I am going under Anthony Edwards 28.5 against OKC. Why? Ant-Man's an all-star. Ant-Man took 33 shots last night. OKC, even if they're playing a lot of backup guys, have waves and waves of defenders. Ant, seems to have a lot on his mind right now. I'll take under Anthony Edwards 28.5. I'll take over Walker Kessler 10.5. Lines and odds subject to change. First time, something special just for you. New DraftKings customers, bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets. How do you do this? Very simple. Take it to the rack with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Wright, WRIGHT. That's code Wright, WRIGHT, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Oh, Damonza, it looks as if we have some breaking news. You see this in the rundown?
$50 in my pocket. I see it. Jets just traded. We have informed Aaron Rodgers that we will be moving in a different direction at quarterback. It's awesome.
Well, hold on. Let's go back to the $50 in your pocket. Did you bet somebody that Rodgers was out of there?
Yeah, me and a colleague like 3 or 4 months ago, I think. I was like, how much do you want to bet that Aaron Rodgers won't be the quarterback of the Jets next year? And he's like, I think he will be. And I was like, I don't think he will.
All right. Can I give you some advice? You have to mention
Don't bet with my coworkers?
Today. No.
Oh, okay.
No. You have to, you got to.
It was mentioned 2 days ago. Like there was already talks of this like already going on, but I think it's official now. So
now, I mean, if they've tweeted it, okay, that's what I was gonna say. Any old bets, once the verdict is in, you have to make sure you snap identify, or else All right, good job. No. I think betting with colleagues, as long as it's $100 or less, is fine. Can I tell you, and then we'll get to the Jets thing. So I bet with Hubs, who runs our show, and they have been escalating bets where 5, 10, 20, and then $100. And every bet that I've won, I'm 4-0 in these bets. Now, to be fair, what they really are is like he's betting like 20-1 on things. So like the $5 bet was, I don't know, Aaron Judge will hit 65 home runs or something like that. So I'm on the house side of it, essentially. I'm a huge favorite in these. But he gives me the money, and I tape it to the office wall. So when you walk in our conference room, there's a 5, a 10, a 20, and a $100 bill taped to the wall, and it's just a taunt. Well, you know what? The 100 was not Hubs. The 100 was Wilds. Hubs never bet me $100. The 100 was when I beat Wilds in bowling. And I made him pay me, and now it's taped on the office wall. You guys are betting on
bowling? I don't think either one of you guys are like avid bowlers.
Wild's good bowler. I'm a horrific bowler. He choked. Flat choke, and not only flat choked. It doesn't matter. I beat him straight up in bowling, and near the end, or right after I beat him, I was like ribbing him. I was like, let's just go double or nothing. Like, you're better than me, blah, blah, blah. And he turned to me stone serious. And he was like, I know you think this is helping our relationship. It's not. He was so mad.
He knew he was supposed to beat you.
I was peak obnoxious. It was at our holiday office party. And I was being peak obnoxious. Okay, let's talk Rodgers here. This is a great move by Aaron Glenn, even if they don't know who their quarterback's going to be. You have to claw back control of your locker room. And I'm not saying Rodgers was universally reviled. It's very clear some of his teammates really liked him. I don't know that all of them did, but it's very clear some did. But if you are going to have any chance of, for the first time, damn near in my lifetime, of the Jets being a competent, regular organization, and of the Jets being able to operate the way a functional football team does, you're not going to be able to change the owner. You probably want to, you can't. The best you can do is change the GM and head coach, which you did, and allow the Jets, for the first time in a few years, to be under the radar, to not be a hot topic, and to not have one of the most famous and polarizing and, at this point, also not that good quarterbacks in the league holding weekly symposiums on McAfee and all of the stuff that goes along with being in the Aaron Rodgers business. They had to get out of that business. They had to. And so I don't know. The Jets, what are they drafting? Ninth? Hold on. 2025 NFL draft wiki. The Jets are drafting 7th. So Shador and Cam won't be there. Now maybe you can reach on Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe, or maybe you just do a bridge quarterback. And I know what sucks for the Jets is the most sought-after bridge quarterback this year is probably Sam Darnold, and they don't want Sam Darnold. They already had Sam Darnold. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough year for them at that position. But it gives Aaron Glenn a chance to be the voice, the guy for that franchise. And that couldn't happen with Aaron. And the other side of it is this. They're not good enough outside of quarterback to be like, well, but with Aaron, we can win a championship. If you could, then maybe you stomach it for a year. You thought that was the case this past year. Now you're drafting 7th. You won 5 games. There was no world. The Jets are not close. And so what you need to do is start building out the team and figuring out what the actual Jets culture and organization is going to be about. And so, yeah, I would take a flyer on a quarterback. I would. Who are would I consider, and this is going to sound funny coming from me, would I consider being like, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo, you want to come for a year? Maybe. Would I see if a year of being under Reed and Mahomes, Carson Wentz, can give me a year of halfway decent football? Sure. Like, those would be the things I do while I try to fix the offensive line, lead with defense, and go from there. Then the question becomes, Damonza, where does Aaron Rodgers go? And what
DraftKings says it's most likely the Steelers.
So there seems to be a lot of smoke there. Now, I don't know if you saw the report this morning from a guy I'd never heard of before, but in no disrespect to him, I just think he's a local reporter somewhere, but I loved it. You know who the Steelers called about, evidently?
Who?
The Prince. Ooh, boy. Get the Prince out of Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Get him with Mike Tomlin? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because I can't imagine Mike Tomlin with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, except remember, they had that, like, flirtation thing. Like, where Tomlin, like, winked at him, Rodgers smiled at him while they were playing each other. This happened a couple times. Maybe Tomlin thinks he could do it.
He can be the answer.
So the Steelers do make sense. Here's another one. If Aaron really just wants to follow the exact Brett Favre game plan, what about Minnesota? If Minnesota's like, Darnold's going to cost too much. JJ, because of the injury, we're not sure on yet. And, we want to be good again, so we want a veteran quarterback. That has a fringe possibility. I'm trying to think of the other places. So let's just do it real quick.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no, go. Tell me what DraftKings has.
They've got the Steelers at plus 200, Raiders at plus 300, 49ers at plus 350, Vikings
49ers would be wild.
Yeah. And then they got Vikings at plus 400 and Titans at plus 750. So I think those are the most likely.
The Titans obviously would want him. If Aaron's only opportunity is to play for the Titans, I think he probably just has to retire. All those other, the Raiders thing are the Raiders piece. Not that I think the Raiders are going to be better than the Titans this year, but at least the Raiders are kind of a marquee franchise. They're in Vegas, and Pete Carroll's there, right? Then Devontae's probably like, Jesus, man. Could have done this a year ago, and I could have just stayed. The 49ers would be unreal. It just as far as storylines. If the Niners are like, hey, Brock, sorry, we'll pay you later. I just think that is a remarkable idea.
Producers are saying, how about Cleveland?
I can't imagine that happening. I just can't. I was going to go, so the way I always do this is I just go division by division. Bills, no chance. Miami, no chance. Jets, obviously no chance. Patriots, no chance. AFC East, done. Baltimore, no chance. Cincy, no chance. Pittsburgh, real chance. So we have one real chance. Cleveland, I don't see it. Texans, no chance. Colts,
not really.
Maybe. I mean, they don't have a quarterback. They're not going to be able to draft him. What
do you mean? What's going on with Anthony Richardson? Are they kicking him off the team?
I shouldn't say they don't have a quarterback. They have made it clear he's going to have to compete. They don't know they have a quarterback. Okay. If you're Aaron, that might be an attractive place. Decent O-line, in a dome, winnable division. Yeah. Something. Jacksonville, no. Titans, maybe. AFC West, only, Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, no. Raiders, maybe. NFC East, Eagles, no. Commanders, no. Cowboys, no. Giants, you can't see it. He's not going to go maybe.
Why would he go to the Giants? Why on earth would he go to the Giants? Teams
don't have a quarterback. Lions, no. Vikings,
they don't
maybe.
Have a quarterback, but
Packers, no. Obviously, Bears, no. Bucks, no. Falcons, no. Panthers, no. Saints, no, because they're dealing with Carr. Oh. Maybe the Rams do end up trading Stafford. Use that pick to draft a quarterback. Use Aaron as a bridge. That would be... Now, you might be like, in that case, why would you not just keep Stafford? They seem to want to get young at that position. That would be interesting, though. Seahawks, no. Cardinals, no. Niners, evidently, they're on the list. So, wow. Some real breaking news here from, you know what I mean? From while we're on the air. All right, we're gonna have to skip some stuff here. So before we get to the basketball tournament and me and my wife's flight back from the Super Bowl, let me tell you guys about my friends at Daya. This episode of What's Right is brought to you by Daya Pizza, featuring dairy-free cheese made with their new Daya Oat Cream Blend. Dairy-free cheese come a long way. Daya is leading the charge. Their pizzas offer the melt and stretch of traditional cheese without any dairy. Each Daya pizza starts with a perfectly crisp crust, layered with savory, satisfying toppings, and finished with cheese that melts and stretches beautifully. The Daya Oat Cream Blend delivers a creamy, cheesy texture that's indistinguishable from dairy-based options. Every pizza is crafted to be dairy-free, making it a great choice for anyone seeking more inclusive meal options without compromising on taste. Daya takes the concept of dairy-free to a new level, eliminating FOMO, fear of missing dairy. These pizzas deliver delicious taste and texture, making them perfect for any occasion, from casual dinners to game day spreads. Enjoy a FOMO-free pizza night with Daya. Visit DayaFoods.com. That's DAIYA Foods.com for more information, or find Daya Pizza at retailers like Whole Foods, Kroger, and Walmart. Coming soon to select Publix and Sprouts. Follow Daya on Instagram and TikTok for more updates and recipes. All right, Damonza, real quick. Let's go through the Wednesday night NBA games. Bang, bang, bang. And then we'll do this other stuff if we can.
So Milwaukee 103 to Minnesota's 101. There was no Giannis and no Dame. Kuzma,
I know,
was the leader there. Is it time for Minnesota to panic? Is there a problem there?
Oh, I'd panic if I'm Minnesota.
Kuzma? Yeah.
I would legit panic. I would listen. I don't want to make light of, the internet stories swirling around Anthony Edwards, but they're there, and you need He's 23. He's going, he's dealing with stuff. And the team has one of the greatest Game 7 comebacks in the last decade, ever, actually, in NBA playoff history against the defending champs. They then blow it up, essentially. I shouldn't say blow it up, but they trade one of their franchise centerpieces for Julius Randle and DiVincenzo.
It was a little hasty.
And now they're hovering around 500. You're losing to a Bucks team that's without its only 2 stars, and that had just traded its others, former star. That's a bad loss. There's just no way around it. And when you look at where they fall in the Western Conference now, they're in the play-in, Damonza. They're sandwiched between the Clippers and the Mavs. When people thought this team was going to be a real championship contender, that's just brutal. All right, next game.
Houston 119 to Phoenix 111. So the Suns they're dealing with injuries right now, and they're now in the 11th seed after this loss. They're plus 370 to make the playoffs. Would you make that bet?
No chance. Keep in mind those make the playoffs bets means
including the
making the play-in doesn't get you in.
Oh, okay.
You have to make the actual 8-team tournament. And so those are because the Suns, do we think they're going to, let's just say they get to the play-in. Are they going to climb to the 7-8 line where you only need to win 1 play-in game? Or are you going to be in the 9-10 line where you need to win 2, at least 1, and maybe both on the road? So, and you got Durant, man. Durant had 37 on 22 shots. And they were leading going into the fourth. By a lot, by the way. They were leading by 8 going into the fourth, and they lost by 8. Outscored 35-19 in the fourth quarter against a Rockets team that's just markedly better than them. And, that's a spot maybe for Durant in the offseason. But no, I think the Suns are in desperate trouble. Trouble. And it just sucks so much for Durant. All right, next one.
Dallas was depleted and won Saturday at the very end. Offensive foul by Jimmy Butler. So Golden State is now the 10th seed, and they're minus 105 to make the playoffs. Why do you think the Vegas trusts Jimmy and Steph more than they trust Phoenix?
Well, I just think that they think that Jimmy and Steph, and I got to think about this for a second, about the bet that I would make. I got it. They think Jimmy and Steph are in way better position. The Warriors are going to get better. That was, though, a great win. I'm more interested in the win from the Mavericks side of things. For the Mavs, dealing with everything they're dealing with against a team that they're fighting to stay in the play-in with, Kyrie drops 42. And what would worry me if I were the Mavs would be this, but maybe the All-Star break came at the exact right time. Say it again.
I mean, Kyrie dropped 42 and they won by 4 points.
Yes, but they'll get Anthony Davis back at some point. But here's what I was going to say. Damonza, last 5 games for Kyrie. Well, we'll do last 7 games. We could go further. I'll do the last 5. Minutes, 40, 44, 42, 40, 42. And if you just go back, Kyrie's been, ever since Luka got hurt, okay? Let me see if I can pull this up exactly. And this is now, maybe the All-Star break came at the exact right time. Because Kyrie, since Christmas Day, and now he missed time with injury, so we'll just go, since Kyrie came back from, again, a back injury, that which concerns you, there has been 1 game he didn't play heavy minutes. 1. A blowout against Washington. His minutes are as follows: 39, 40, 38, 39, 42, 28, 39, 37, missed a game, 42, 39, 42, 44, 40. So it's a 13-game stretch or a 14-game stretch where he missed one game where he's averaging more than 39 minutes per game. At his age, with his injury history, with an injured back, that would concern me, but he was awesome. All right. Let's get to the flight home from the Super Bowl. So did you see my tweets about this, or am I telling you this for the first time?
This is new to me.
Okay, so this will be great. Again, new listeners, viewers, like, rate, subscribe, review, hit the bell. Please do all that. But if you are a new viewer, Damonza is my son. Damonza's mom is my wife. And that will make Damonza's thoughts on this all the better. So, Super Bowl, about 6 days before I went to New Orleans, your mom says to me, I changed my mind. I do want to go to Super Bowl. I'm like, okay. Well, she comes with me every year. I was shocked she wasn't going to go, but she had said she wasn't going to go. And now, I have to figure out the flights thing. And that's days before the Super Bowl, too. New Orleans isn't a huge city. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like the Super Bowl's in Dallas or LA where you have 1,000 flights. Like, okay. All right, let me figure it out. So I find her flight in. And for her flight back Sunday morning, I'm like, you want us to be on the same flight, right? She's like, yeah, obviously. And I'm like, well, there's a flight like 40 minutes before or after mine that's way easy. Like, be in the same same flight. Got it, no problem. I'll buy maybe the most expensive one-way New Orleans to New York ticket that's ever been bought so we can be on a flight together. Like, that's fine. No problem. Fox pays for my travel because I'm traveling for work. And when Fox, again, pays for my travel, they fly me first class. Now, the New Orleans to New York plane is not some giant jump, not one of those planes where you walk by and first class has their own suite and, all that stuff. It's just slightly bigger seats and you get free drinks and food, whatever. There were no first class tickets available when I bought your mom a ticket, or else I would have bought her one, because this coach ticket had to cost 5x what my first class ticket cost to begin with, because mine was bought months ago, whatever. And so as soon as I buy it, I'm like, well, I know how this story is going to end. This story is going to end with your mom sitting in my seat and me sitting in the back of the plane. Like, yep. I know that's how it's going to end, but I have accepted that, right? So, morning of, we're going to the airport, and she's, for the first time, she's like, so where's my seat? I'm like, well, actually, you haven't been assigned a seat yet. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it won't. No, she had a confirmed ticket, but not a like you got to go to the gate to get the seat. And she was like, where's your seat? And I'm like, well, where do you think my seat is? And she was like, no, but you have an assigned seat. I'm like, yeah, seat 1A is my seat. She's like, oh, okay, you should see if I can sit up there with you. I'm like, okay. So we get to the gate. I go up there. I'm like, hi, here's my ticket. Is there any way I can upgrade my wife's ticket? Here's her, boarding pass. Says C agent. And the guy's like, oh, no, we're fully booked in first class. It's like, okay, can you at least, can we get her seat now? She's like, yeah, no problem. So I'm seat 1A. She is seat 38D on what appears to be a 38-row plane. I'm like, well, this isn't going to be great, but it is what it is. I'm going to be sitting back there. That's fine. I fly. It's not like I'm a first class only flyer. I don't buy myself first class seats. You know what? But whatever.
Yeah.
So she's like, so did you get it? I'm like, no. I was like, but I'll trade with you. She's like, no, don't do that. She was like, there's a bunch of people flying back from the Super Bowl. Like, they might know you. They might, bother you. You're nervous about the game. Don't do that. I'm like, no, we can trade. She's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, okay, I guess. So we get on the plane. I sit in the first row. She does, bye, and walks to the back of the plane. Texts me. I'm literally in the back row. Like, okay, sorry. Text her. Do you want to trade? She texts back, no. I text again. We can trade. All exclamation points. She texts back, no. Okay. Now the whole plane is boarded. I'm just about to watch a movie. She texts me. The only empty seat on the plane is next to me. You can come sit with me. So now it's like, wait, we're just going to have an empty first class seat?
Yeah, no, that's you.
So,
Hey.
but we're getting ready to take off. So I text her back. I'm like, okay. Once we get in the air and they turn off the fasten your seatbelt sign, I'll come back there, banking on the fact your mother will fall asleep. She will snap, fall asleep, be fine. She says to me, I just asked the flight attendant. He said you can come back now. I text her back. That's crazy, because the person up here said we have to stay in our seats. In fact, she said, I'll be put on the no-fly list if I get up. Like, obviously joking. Damonza.
Oh my gosh.
90 seconds later, I get a little tap on my shoulder. It is the flight attendant who says, in front of the whole
back here.
cabin,
You can come back here.
your wife wanted me to tell you you're allowed to go back there. I'm like, okay. Thank you. He's like, yeah, we're not taking off for like 3 minutes. So if you want to go, you just have to go right now. So I gather my stuff, walk to the back of the plane, take this picture, and sit in the back, final row. We're on a fully booked flight. There ended up being one seat open, and it was seat 1A. And that's that. So, it's married life, I suppose, pal. Like, what are you going to do?
Wow. Yeah. Hey, man. The flight attendant, I thought it was going to be like mom coming up there and pressing you like, hey, I found out that the flight attendant coming up there to grab you up is hilarious.
No.
It's just more bonding. You guys, why would you guys sit separate on a flight together? And this has happened before, has it not?
Well, no, we've traded. Like, the thing is this, I don't mind it. But within 10 minutes, she was asleep.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, do I leave? Do I go back up there? Like, no, I'll just sit back here. All right, let's do some listener questions real quick. Go ahead.
World Beater says saying Durant is top 10 is as crazy as saying Katie is 19.
Okay, make your own list. Again, I won't make your list. World Beater. Like, I gave you the names. I went through the names. I said we can argue 3 spots here or there. You want to say he should be ahead of Giannis and Dr. J, so be it. There is no argument for him ahead of, and if you even want to say your list isn't going to include the old timers, that's fine. But if you remove the old timers, I don't have 19, I have him 15. So, like, if you're going to do the whole thing, you got to do the whole thing. All right, next.
Justin at Nick Wright. Should the Chiefs shop Chris Jones before his new contract kicks in? They would get hella picks and cap space if they got the right offer.
No, they're definitely not trading Chris Jones, and the way they've done his contract, he's not really a real tradable contract, and that's not their MO. Go to Nicholas's question.
You were prepared to call this Chiefs team the greatest ever, and the Eagles stomped them. Does this make this Eagles team the best ever, or in the conversation?
No, so I was the Chiefs piece of it had a lot of factors that only the Chiefs were eligible for, because it was colored under the while going for a three-peat. You know what?
Yeah,
so like
exactly.
that's
It was the circumstances,
so that's separate,
not the team.
right?
Right.
I was saying the 2024 Chiefs, if they finish it off, this season's Chiefs team, this season could be called the greatest team ever, but it was under the context of accomplishing all of this, winning in all these different ways, beating all those playoff teams while going for a three-peat. No, what I will say is, though, the Eagles had one of the most dominant final two games ever, and their final, they won 16 of 17 to close the season, and the one loss was when Jalen got hurt. So, yeah, a greatest ever is a bridge too far, but this was a dominant football team, played dominant football down the stretch. All right, great job, everybody. I got to get to work. Great job, Damonza. It was a ton of fun. Little programming note. Next week, 2 pods. Then I'm gone for a week to New Zealand. Then when we're back in March, 3 pods a week, maybe one of which with the person who we just told that story about, my wife. More details on that next week. Thank you for listening. Like, rate, subscribe, review, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. Talk to you guys later. What's right?